Hey guys, just had to edit this into the video. Um, this video was recorded before Dexter Lawrence was traded from the New York Giants to the Bengals for the 10th overall pick. Um, I'm adding this in there because I did a whole mock draft video just for fun, just act like I said the New York Giants took who the Bengals took at 10 overall. We'll just act like that's what happens. So enjoy the video. Like and subscribe. Appreciate you guys watching. And uh yeah, see you in the next video. And enjoy this video. Welcome back to the BJack 70 show. I'm your host, Brandon Jackson, and it is time for Mock Draft 2.0, my second and most likely final mock draft of the offseason. Only published two, but truth be told, with how many times I've had to edit, delete the whole thing, start over, with new news here, new intel there. Um, this really should be about mock draft 10.0 rather than 2.0, but this is only the second one that I've actually gone ahead and published. So we will go through the entire mock draft, first round, 32 picks. We'll get into that in 1 second. But before I go ahead and do that, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. Regular video dropping tomorrow, like regular video of the week on Tuesday, coming tomorrow. And the Patreon is live today. Browns Ball Talk, patreon.com/bjack70. It's called Browns Ball Talk. On the channel, if you sign up today, you will see a film breakdown of Makai Lemon, Carnell Tate, and Jordan Tyson. The three best receivers in this draft. All three of them, I think, have a good chance of being Cleveland Browns, and you'll see which one of those guys that I have going to the Browns. I have one of them going to the Browns in this mock draft, so you'll see coming up which one I think we can get in this draft. But yeah, I went ahead and I broke down one game of all three. But yeah, just wanted to talk about that, get that started. Every week, something new will be on that Patreon related specifically to Browns content, Browns prospects, Browns players, reaction to the draft, post draft analysis, all that kind of stuff, all that Browns related stuff will be on that Patreon channel. So again, patreon.com/bjack70. Go ahead, head over there, join up after you watch this video. Won't affect my 2 videos a week on this channel, Tuesday and Friday. But every week I'm gonna give you something new on the Patreon. So go over there, go head over there and sign up there. But without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's get to mock draft 2.0. A couple of notes. Usually I do not like to do trades in my mock drafts, but 2026 has proven, with all the talk about the Dallas Cowboys trying to trade up into the top 10, the mock draft wouldn't have made sense if I didn't have the Cowboys in the top 10. So I made a trade. I had them come up into the top 10, trading with the Browns, getting number 6 overall, the Browns getting number 12 and 20 overall. I'm not really worried about the framework of the whole deal, because I'm only doing one round mock. So I have the Cowboys trading up into the top 10. So Browns have 3 picks in the first round. And there's also a trade at the end of the first round, but we will get to that when we get to it. But I couldn't in good faith do this mock draft without at least a couple of trades. So usually I don't do it, but I did it here. All right, let's get into it. Put my All right, here we go. First up, we got talk. Everybody knows it's coming. Las Vegas Raiders, Fernando Mendoza, quarterback. Nothing to really talk about there. That's the same. Um, yeah, we've known this. We've known this since the end of the national championship. Um, yeah, not don't really have to talk about that too much. New York Jets, linebacker Arvell Reese out of Ohio State. This is the same. I feel like everything I said before, stays true. Um, Arvell probably has the highest ceiling out of all the defensive players in the draft. Um, like crazy size, crazy speed, crazy athleticism, still learning how to rush the passer. But he is a total 3 down player. You don't have to take him off the field. He can play it on the line of scrimmage, off the line of scrimmage, can cover a little bit, can set the edge a little bit. Um, Pretty much can do anything you would ask a linebacker or an edge rusher to do. And that's why I think the Jets go with him at 2. Number 3 overall, Arizona Cardinals taking David Bailey, edge out of Texas Tech. David Bailey, again, maybe slightly less of a ceiling than Arvell Reese, more of a pure pass rusher than Arvell Reese, but it's very possible like a team comes up to 3 to take David Bailey. So no matter what team is picking here, I feel like they're coming to get David Bailey. At number 4, this is all the same. I got the Tennessee Titans taking Jeremiah Love, running back out of Notre Dame. Nothing that I've seen has pushed me off of this pick. I think they want to pair Cam Ward with a great running back, get that run game going, make it a little bit easier for Cam Ward to have success. And I still don't hate the pick. I would hate it for Arizona, but I don't necessarily hate it for Tennessee. And I think Jeremiah Love is worth the pick here. All right, here's where everything really gets started. Number 5, I got the New York Giants taking Caleb Downs, safety out of Ohio State. And over the past couple of weeks since I did 1.0, Caleb there's not been a negative word said about Caleb Downs from anyone. We've seen interviews and we've seen like reports coming out of how he's talked to teams. Every team loves him. He's extremely smart, knows ins and outs of football incredibly well. Everybody wants this guy on their team, and I think this is definitely the ceiling of where he could get picked in the draft. But I think the Giants, weighing everything, pull the trigger on Caleb Downs at 5. They, I thought they wanted Sonny Styles. Sonny Styles is definitely still in consideration, but I think what you can do with Caleb Downs and how much he's impressed these NFL teams behind the scenes, I think that vaults him up to number 5 here. And I don't have a problem with it. I don't. He's going to make an impact on a defense day one just because he is going to be able to learn whatever scheme you're running, and be able to present that to everybody else in the secondary, be able to make checks, make calls. Don't know, what else, who else they have on defense wearing the green dot. But if you were ever in a situation that you needed your safety to wear it, Caleb Downs could wear it. So I think he's actually a great pick for the Giants at number 5. Number 6, I got the Dallas Cowboys trading up to number 6 for their guy, Sonny Styles. They need that middle linebacker to take charge of the defense, be the leader of their defense, and essentially change the culture of their defense post Micah Parsons. I believe if they are to come up, this is the guy they're coming up for. It's possible Dallas tries to go up to 3 to get David Bailey, but I think they would rather come up to 6, get Sonny Styles, and build the defense out from there. They obviously they need a lot of pieces. They need another edge. They need linebackers. They need secondary help, safety help more specifically. But this is, I think it's a good start to come up to get Sonny Styles in the middle and then build out from around him. After that, number 7, the Washington Commanders taking Ruben Bain, the edge out of Miami. And truth be told, this might be late for me putting Ruben Bain at 7. There's a good chance Ruben Bain comes off the board well before this pick at number 7. People love Ruben Bain more than I had thought originally. But if he's on the board, I think the Washington Commanders will jump on the opportunity to take Ruben Bain. Since the last time I had a mock draft out, some news came out about Ruben Bain. Ruben Bain was the driver of a car that was involved in a crash and involved, somebody losing their life. There was no criminal charges brought against Ruben Bain, according to all the news sources, ESPN and NFL.com and Yahoo. He faced no charges. NFL teams have talked to him about the incident. They seem okay with his story. They seem okay with what happened. It kind of seems like it just was a terrible accident that happened. Not necessarily that he was doing anything nefarious, but just a terrible accident, terrible tragedy in which someone lost their life. But as far as his draft stock goes, I don't think it is going to affect his draft stock at all. So Washington Commanders take Ruben Bain. They need defensive help. They need defensive playmakers. They just need playmakers on all levels of the football, either offense or defense, whatever. They're a true best player available team, and I think they probably think Ruben Bain would be that best player available at this stage in this mock. Number 8, New Orleans Saints, Carnell Tate, wide receiver from Ohio State. I thought long and hard about would the Saints take a receiver? Would they take a corner? But I decided on them taking Carnell Tate. I think they're going to take a receiver. And if you look at the next pick, Kansas City Chiefs take Jordan Tyson, wide receiver out of Arizona State. I think these two picks go hand in hand. I think If the Saints take Tyson, I think there's a good chance the Chiefs take Tate. But as it stands, I have the Saints taking Tate and I have the Chiefs taking Tyson. Both of these teams, really New Orleans. New Orleans needs that second guy at receiver, really to help elevate their offense. It's really going to be all about Tyler Shuck's development and what he can be as a second-year player, because Alvin Kamara is still on the team. I'm not sure if he's going to start on that team week 1, but if not, Travis Etienne was brought in free agency. You still have Chris Olave, still have Juwan Johnson at tight end. Offensive line is adequate, I believe. So it's really going to be down to Tyler Shuck, and they really need that second guy apart from Olave, or if they were looking to move off of Olave, they need somebody to replace him. So I think that they get wide receiver 1 in the draft, take Carnell Tate. The Chiefs, they need a true number 1 that isn't getting into trouble all the time. If I think they would probably rather Carnell Tate at this spot just because of Jordan Tyson's injury history. That may worry teams a bit, but Jordan Tyson has, since his workout on Friday, everyone has been talking about Jordan Tyson might be the first wide receiver off the board. Jordan Tyson is apparently in play at number 5 with the Giants. So getting him at 9 is not a crazy spot. It might even be good value for Jordan Tyson. He's a lot of people's wide receiver 1 in this class. I'm fully bought into Jordan Tyson. I really like Jordan Tyson and what he can be. And I think it would be scary to see him with the Chiefs, with Patrick Mahomes, with Andy Reid, in that mix with Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. Rashee Rice apparently not going to get suspended. Nothing's going to happen to Rashee Rice, as far as we know, as far as we've heard. So pairing Rashee Rice with Jordan Tyson, Xavier Worthy, that could be a potentially dominant wide receiver core. Next up, number 10, the Cincinnati Bengals take Mansour Delane from LSU, the cornerback. Cornerback 1, in my eyes and a lot of people's eyes in this draft. They're just going to take best defensive player available. If it's Bain there, if it's Delane there, if it's if Caleb Downs happens to slip and fall down to 10, whoever the best defensive player left on the board is, I believe Cincinnati is going to take him. I think it's a good fit. They need help everywhere you can get it on defense in Cincinnati, and I think this is a good start. Number 11, Miami Dolphins, Francis Mauigoa, offensive line from Miami. Offensive line 1, I think best offensive lineman in the class. I know it's probably surprising that I have him falling out of the top 10, just because if the Browns aren't in the top 10, I don't know how high the rest of those teams are going to value offensive line. But this is just the beginning. There's a lot of offensive linemen that will go from 11 to 32. Mauigoa is just the first one, but Miami needs everything. They need everything. I guess you could say except running back, and I guess except quarterback, because they've spent in free agency to get their quarterback. But they need everything, and I think best player on the board is Mauigoa, best offensive lineman. You're going to be able to fit him into one of those 5 spots, and whichever one of those spots you put him into, he's going to do well, preferably on the right side, probably, since that's what he's used to and that's what he's played throughout college. But I think that's a good pick for them. Number 12, Cleveland Browns coming back from 6, trading back with the Dallas Cowboys. This is the first of their 3 first-round picks, and the top 2 receivers have already gone off the board in the top 10. So at this point, only one offensive lineman has come off the board. So I have them taking Makai Lemon, wide receiver out of USC. Some people's wide receiver 1 in this class, some people's wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2, but he's definitely one of the top 3 wide receivers in this class. And if the Browns can come out with one of those top 3 guys, I think the fan base will be happy, and I think they will be happy as an organization. But I think the way the board has fallen in this mock draft, I think taking Makai Lemon here was the correct thing to do. Number 13, the Los Angeles Rams, Spencer Fano, offensive line out of Utah. This, Fano is potentially the best best offensive lineman in the class. I really like his tape, but I don't know where he's going to fit in on offensive line. But I know the Rams have a couple spots they could use a utility offensive lineman. So wherever they see fit, if they want to put him at center, put him at tackle, put him at guard, because I think he was taking either at the combine or at his pro day. Some teams did have him taking some snaps at center. So wherever you want to put him, I think he's going to be all right. And I think the Rams could use that, especially since they've attacked cornerback in free agency, and especially since the top 3 wide receivers have already come off the board. I think they choose to bolster that offensive line with this pick. Next up, Baltimore Ravens take Kenyon Sadiq, tight end from Oregon, best tight end in the class, playmaking tight end. They lost Isaiah Likely. This can be his replacement, and they probably would want Sadiq to overtake Mark Andrews and kind of phase Mark Andrews out of that starting role. Sadiq would be a playmaker. Baltimore can use every playmaker they can get on offense. They got Zay Flowers. Derrick Henry is still trucking, but the rest of that receiver room, the rest of that tight end room, not very explosive. Sadiq could give them a little bit of explosion coming out of that tight end room. You could put him in the slot. You can get creative with how you get him the football. Last mock draft, I had them taking the guard, Vega Ioane, out of Penn State, but I just don't know if the Ravens would take a guard in the first round that high. So here I got him taking Sadiq. Number 15, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I got them taking who they might believe best player available, best edge rusher still left on the board, Keldrick Faulk, the edge from Auburn. Reports that I've seen is that he's going to go earlier in the draft than we think. And previously I had him mocked 22, I believe, going to the Chargers. But I moved him up here to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay want, a lot of these teams probably want to look at best player available. They could, depending on who's left on the board, they could take an edge, they could take a corner, they could take a lineman, they could take offensive tackle, they could take an offensive guard, they could do a lot of different things, go in a lot of different directions with their draft. But I think the Tampa Bay Bucks go Keldrick Faulk here. Number 16, New York Jets taking Omar Cooper Jr., wide receiver out of Indiana. I feel like this is high, but from what I've seen, I think the Jets want to take a wide receiver in this first round, put them next to Garrett Wilson, make life easier for Geno Smith, kind of build out the room. I really think they want Makai Lemon. The Jets are a team that could potentially try to move up to get one of these wide receivers if they happen to fall out of the top 10. Maybe if the Chiefs want to move back, maybe if the Saints want to move back, they might try to come up there. But I think they really like, if they're forced to stay at 16, I think they really like Omar Cooper. And I got them taking him here. Number 17, the Detroit Lions take Monroe Freeling, offensive tackle from Georgia. He's a left tackle. It's as simple as Freeling is the best tackle left on the board. They lost Taylor Decker in free agency, and they need a replacement. It's as simple as that. Monroe Freeling has a sky-high ceiling as a left tackle. He's not perfect. It will take a little bit of time for him to adjust, but he has everything that you would want in a left tackle. He has the athleticism. He has the know-how. He has the quickness. Working, work like his best work is working off of double teams and connecting with linebackers on the second level. He does that the best that I've seen in this class. He's really good at that. The prep, he will have to make sure he gets better in pass protection, which is going to be paramount for a left tackle. But he definitely has the athleticism to figure that out and, improve on that moving forward. Next up, the Minnesota Vikings take Dylan Thieneman, safety from Oregon. This hasn't moved. This is where everybody thinks Thieneman is going to go. There's a good possibility. There's been some rumblings that he might go higher than this, that he might go closer to the top 10 versus where he's at, where I have him right now. But that might be more of a surprise pick. That might be somebody moving up, somebody trading up. So looking at the board, I didn't know where, if I was going to put him higher than 18, I don't know where I would have put him. Maybe if the Cowboys fail to trade up and Caleb Downs is taken by Cincinnati or somebody else, or Caleb Downs, just goes at 5 and the board falls as it falls. Maybe at 12, if Dallas is still there, they take Thieneman at 12. Other than that, I'm not sure where the fit would be. Maybe at 15 with the Bucks, but it's going to be very interesting to see where he goes on Thursday. But yeah, I got, every mock draft has Thieneman going to the Vikings, potentially losing Harrison Smith, putting Thieneman, another white safety, right into that spot would probably be perfect for Brian Flores and that defense. Number 19, the Carolina Panthers take Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, safety from Toledo. He jumps up a few spots. I had him going 25 to the Bears in the last mock, but I think he's too good. I think somebody will take him. Panthers definitely here going best player available. They could use a safety. I don't think there's an edge here that I would feel comfortable with them taking, and they just signed Jalen Phillips in free agency. No wide receiver here I think they would feel comfortable with. I guess it depends on how they feel about KC Concepcion. I think it would be too early for them to take Denzel Boston, especially with how similar of a player he would be to Ted McMillan. So I got them taking McNeil Warren here. A lot of, your favorite analyst's favorite safety is McNeil Warren. I have him going 19. Number 20, to the chagrin of probably a lot of Browns fans, I have the Browns taking Caden Proctor, offensive tackle out of Alabama. This would piss people off, I think. But at 20 overall, this is a good spot to get Caden Proctor. He plays left tackle. He knows what it's like to be a left tackle. There's been reporting that the Browns like Caden Proctor. There's speculation that they like him at 6 overall, which I think is kind of absurd. I don't believe that thinking, but I do. I can believe that they like Caden Proctor. He's a huge offensive lineman. But even though he's huge, he does have enough athletic ability to get out in space and block people on the second level. A lot of people want to move him in the guard. I don't. I want these guys to play what they're comfortable playing and what they have been used to playing. But a lot of people are seeing Mekhi Becton in him. I don't. I think he can, with him getting adjusted to the NFL, I think he can be a left tackle for you. This is a guy who was anointed as, that next left tackle coming up the ranks through high school, going to Alabama under Nick Saban, playing as a freshman left tackle in the SEC. We've seen that to varying levels of success with Will Campbell so far, but that's the whole arms thing. We've seen it with Kelvin Banks going to the New Orleans Saints, playing as a freshman in the SEC. Well, at least I think Texas was in the SEC when Kelvin Banks was a freshman. I don't remember. I didn't look it up. But I think Caden Proctor will be a good pick at 20. I think it's a fine pick at 20, given how the board has fallen. Number 21, Pittsburgh Steelers take Jermod McCoy, cornerback from Tennessee. McCoy could go much higher than this. But going through the list, I don't know where he fits in at quarterback, given how the board has fallen. So found it hard to put him into a spot before this, but Steelers, they need good young players. Currently, Aaron Rodgers isn't in the building, but everybody expects him to show up, be the quarterback. So I don't think they're interested in Ty Simpson at this time. They could have took Ione from Penn State here. They could have went a couple different directions, but I had him taking McCoy because McCoy has a lot of fans in the draft community. And again, this might be late. Another team could take him before this. But since he's still on the board in this mock, I got him going here at Pittsburgh. Number 22, the Los Angeles Chargers are giving thanks to the Lord because they got Vega Ione, offensive guard from Penn State. In a perfect world, this would be who they pick in the first round. They need interior offensive line help in the worst way. I mentioned Mekhi Becton earlier. I believe he's gone from the Chargers. They have Trevor Penning still, which I don't believe is a good thing for them. But they desperately need interior offensive line help. Joe Alt should be healthy next year. Rashawn Slater should be healthy next year. They should be set at tackle. They just got to make sure they shore up the interior and keep Justin Herbert upright. Philadelphia Eagles at 23 take Caleb Lomu from Utah. More of a true offensive tackle, I believe. Given the receivers that have gone off the board, the top 4 receivers have gone off the board. AJ Brown is still on the team, so I don't have them taking a receiver here. I feel like it either comes down to edge or offensive tackle at this spot, and I feel like the Eagles will have edge rusher taken care of at a later date, but yeah, I had him going offensive tackle here. Caleb Lomu here. I like Lomu. A lot of people are down on him. A lot of people don't like him. I like Caleb Lomu. I think he will stick at tackle. Played left tackle for Utah. I like what I see out of him, and I think he played left tackle at Utah, but I think his future with the Eagles would be at right tackle after Lane Johnson decides to hang it up. So, all right, the last Cleveland Browns pick of the first round, Chris Johnson, the cornerback from San Diego State. Chris Johnson is getting a lot of love, a lot of first round buzz. He's kind of been that dark horse name that a lot of people have mentioned, who might not get touted as a first round prospect, but will actually get picked in the first round. A lot of he's on his 30 visits, he's blowing away coaches with his football IQ. And the Browns need a corner. Browns need a slot corner specifically, but they can use secondary help in any way that they can get it. So I got him taking Chris Johnson here. If I will be honest, if Emmanuel McNeill-Warren was still on the board, this would have been an auto selection. That would have been a pretty easily selection. I think they really want him. And even if he was still on the board at 20 when they picked, if I didn't give him to the Panthers at 19, I think I would have given McNeill-Warren to the Browns at 20. So that being said, I think the Browns are really looking more for best players available, best players on their board versus real specific positions of need. Because we know they need receivers, we know they need offensive tackle, and we know they need corner, which they're getting all of these positions filled, all of these needs filled. But I think that's just because of how the board fell. I wouldn't be surprised when the draft happens, regardless of what I have mocked. I wouldn't be surprised. Let me pull myself up. I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns go edge rusher at any one of these picks that they have. If they stay at 6, I really think Ruben Bain is a possibility. So I just want everybody to wrap their heads around. They're going to go best player available more than you think they're going to take at a position in need. If they're at 6 still, they think Francis Mawanoa is the best, they'll take him. If Ruben Bain is there, they think he's the best, they'll take him. So I just want, if you're a Browns fan, I want you to be prepared for a world where we're leaving day 1 and they don't have a wide receiver because they like the day 2 wide receivers. Like those day we'll talk about who's left after the mock, but there's guys like Jeremy Bernard, there's guys like Chris Bell, um, there's guys like I don't have Denzel Boston going in this first round. Like there's guys that they could pursue and get on day two, probably early day two, but depending on if they don't trade back, if they keep 39, figuring out how that goes. I don't be shocked if they leave day one without getting a receiver. All right. At 25, I have the Chicago Bears taking Akeem Mesidor, the edge out of Miami. Just a little bit lower than I had him going before. I think that age is going to be a big factor. Um, with Mesidor, he's going to be 25 when the season starts. Which for an edge rusher, it doesn't disqualify you from going high or having a good career, but it's going to be a team that needs production now is going to favor Mesidor than a team building for the future, of course. And I think the Bears need an edge rusher. I had them taking Zion Young out of Missouri in my. Actually, no, I didn't have that in 1.0, but when I started 2.0, I had Zion Young from Missouri penciled in here for the Bears. But as I formulated this mock, um, Mesidor was still on the board, so might as well take Mesidor if you're going to take an edge anyway. At 26, I have the Arizona Cardinals trading back in to the first round to select Ty Simpson, quarterback out of Alabama. Ty Simpson is somehow, some way going to go somewhere in this first round because all the signs point to him going in the first round. The fact that he left school and entered the draft in the first place shows that somebody let him know that he was going to be a potential first round pick. And the fact that he's showing up to day one of the draft as the only quarterback there. Fernando Mendoza isn't going to be at the draft. His agent, his representation must know that they're going in the first round for him to want to be present day one because there's other, there's prospects that know where they're going to go, or at least think they're going to go on day 2 or 3. And there's prospects that they're going to be there on day 2, prospects that are going to be there on day 3. Ty Simpson and his team seem to know that they're going round 1. So I had to do this mock with what I believe to be true. And I think a team is going to come back into the first round, take Ty Simpson, and I think it's going to be the Cardinals, especially given the news Jacoby Brissett hasn't shown up to offseason workouts because he wants a new contract because he's presumably the starter, which, shout out to Jacoby Brissett for doing that, but they might say, okay, we're going over your head. We're going to go take Ty Simpson now. So that's why I have Cardinals coming back into the first round to take Ty Simpson. San Francisco 49ers take Blake Miller, offensive tackle from Clemson. I don't necessarily love Blake Miller as a prospect, but other people do. Other people have him rated highly, and the Niners, they need a tackle. Niners need a tackle. Last draft, I had Omar Cooper going here at 27. He's far gone. He definitely won't make it to 27. And it came down to an offensive tackle or KC Concepcion. But I think they're just going to ride it out. At least in this first round, I think they're going to be content with having Mike Evans in the room, having Ricky Pearsall in the room, and then, figure out the rest of that room later in the draft. Number 28, the Houston Texans take Max Ihenachor, tackle from Arizona State. I don't know how to say his name. I apologize for pronouncing that wrong, but Houston Texans, they need offensive line help in the most desperate of ways, and I think this tackle is probably is the best tackle left on the board at this point. I have him just a little bit ahead of Blake Miller, but I think the Niners will like Blake Miller more. But yeah, I got the Texans taking him out of Arizona State. Considered them taking a guard also. It might, it just depends on internally their scouts, how they feel about the guards that are left on the board versus the tackles that are left on the board. But whatever the case may be, they better take an offensive lineman at this spot. They don't need any defensive players. They don't need a receiver. They don't need any of the running backs left in this draft at this spot. They need offensive line. And this is them taking it. Number 29, Kansas City Chiefs, their second first-round pick. I have them taking R. Mason Thomas, the edge out of Oklahoma. Chiefs took a receiver in the top 10. They need edge. They need edge bad. If Ruben Bain somehow falls to them at 9, they're taking Ruben Bain. They need an edge. They need pass rush help desperately. R. Mason Thomas is one of my favorite edges in this class. He might not do well. He might not be a guy that you can play all 3 downs. He might not do well against the run because of his size. But my God, when it's 3rd down and you need that boy to go rush the passer, he's going to rush the passer and he's going to try to get that ball out. So they need an explosive playmaker across the edge, trying to rush the passer, and I got the Chiefs taking R. Mason Thomas at 29. 30, I got the Dolphins taking KC Concepcion, wide receiver from Texas A&M. Again, the Dolphins need help all across the board. So they definitely need help at receiver. They're going to need somebody in there for Malik Willis to throw to make sure that Malik Willis is the guy that they think he is. So getting KC in there, I think he's a first-round wide receiver, and I think he would be okay, to slot in as that rookie number 1 guy, getting a lot of fantasy value, getting a bunch of targets, getting a bunch of targets and being that guy that they throw to early. I think he can handle it, and I think that's something that he wants. So I think he would welcome being that guy and being the best one as a young guy in that room. So number 31, the New England Patriots have them taking Chase Besantis, offensive guard from Texas A&M. It was very hard to pick a prospect for the Patriots, but they could use a guard. I don't think they're going to move Will Campbell from tackle to guard. I think they're going to try to make it work at tackle. But yeah, you could have gone a couple different ways here. You could have gone guard. You could have gone defensive tackle. You could have gone edge. You could have gone off-ball linebacker here. But I think Chase Besantis is one of those offensive guards gaining steam. gaining momentum in the draft process, and I think he will be a first rounder when it's all said and done. So I have him going to the Patriots. And then I believe unchanged from mock 1.0 had the Seattle Seahawks taking Colton Hood, cornerback out of Tennessee. Probably the best corner available on the board. Still, depending on if you like Hood, Avion Terrell from Clemson. But yeah, I think they'll go ahead, replace Tyreek Woolen that they lost in free agency. I went back and forth here thinking about CJ Allen, or whatever off-ball linebacker they think is best. CJ Allen, Jacob Rodriguez. They could sneakily take an edge with Cassius Howell, Zion Young, go in that direction. They could really do whatever they want. Maybe they could even trade back. Originally, I thought they might be the place where Arizona tries to come in to take Ty Simpson, but letting your division rival, or maybe not rival, but another team in your division trade into the first round and take a quarterback doesn't seem likely. So that's why I had the Cardinals trading up with the Bills instead of the Seahawks here. But yeah, that's the mock draft. That is mock draft 2.0. More than likely, there won't be a 3.0. Maybe if we get some bombshell news or some bombshell intel between now and Thursday, there could be a 3.0, but I'm pretty good with this one. I spent a lot of time. I spent all week last week working on this one, making sure it was right, tweaked it a billion times over. We'll probably want to tweak it as soon as I finish recording, but this is going to live on in posterity. But thank you. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you being here. Like the video if you're still here. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Go over to patreon.com/bjack70. Browns Ball Talk, is going to be building a great community over there of Browns fans, of NFL draft fans, just talking ball, just talking football over there. So go ahead, subscribe over there. And yeah, I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next video.